Ever since the Nintendo Switch was announced, there have been lots of people asking, when are we getting Virtual Console? And Nintendo kind of answered that when they said that we're looking at Virtual Console when we see things like the NES Classic or the Super Nintendo Classic. And Nintendo kind of wanted to funnel people toward the Nintendo Switch Online subscription, which gives you access to a very slowly growing, but a growing library of Nintendo Entertainment System games. And that's all fine and good, but what about other companies? What about other games from other companies? Games like, I don't know, Centipede, or games like Sonic the Hedgehog. And that's where I kind of think that the demise of the Virtual Console has actually kind of been a good thing for consumers. And a lot of people will be like, "What are you, crazy? Now I have to buy everything all over again." Well, yes, that's true, but it kind of took the shackles off. Up until the Switch, if a gaming company wanted to sell a retro game on a Nintendo console, they usually had to go through the Virtual Console, and doing it through the Virtual Console meant that we had to wait around for Nintendo to say, "Yeah, go ahead." And it was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of lame. They always rolled everything out at a snail's pace over there. With the Switch, we've had a lot of retro games available on the Switch. Um, the first party Nintendo ones have been the ones that are lacking, but the third party stuff, we've been getting a lot of that stuff. We have the SNK 40th anniversary collection. We have the Namco Museum. That's another collection of retro games. We have the Sega Genesis Classics, which has a whole bunch of really great games. And then we have all of the things that have been remade by, I want to say Hamster is the name of the company that's been remaking all of these old arcade games for the Nintendo Switch. And then on top of that, we also have Nintendo bringing out their weird arcade games that have never been released before. Games like, oh God, what was the name? Oh, like Punch Out. Like they released a version of the arcade version of Punch Out on the Nintendo Switch. Well, it looks like we are going to get another collection. This one comes from Atari, and it is called the Atari Flashbacks Classic. This is a collection of 150 Atari favorites, all in one bundle. So the key features here are 150 classic Atari 2600, 5200, and arcade games. Play seminal Atari titles including Asteroids, Centipedes, Missile Command, Pong, Tempest, Warlords, and many more. And this is where things get interesting. Online and local multiplayer. Battle for arcade supremacy against friends online or at home. It'll also have online leaderboards. Compare your high scores with players from around the world. That says that it's designed to take advantage of the Nintendo Switch's greatest features. I don't know what those greatest features are. I'm going to assume that they are not using motion control, but are instead taking advantage of like HD Rumble or something like that. I think that HD Rumble would make sense and would be really cool. And I'm not sure what other greatest features that they could be referring to. And then a brand new interface redesigned to recreate the greatest classics arcade experience. So looking at that, it seems pretty rad. The price for this is actually kind of expensive. And I know it's 150 games, but a lot of the Atari games were pretty trash. They just weren't very good. And I'm sure that some of these 150 games are hot garbage. However, you know, I always say that if a developer gives you the opportunity to buy retro video games that otherwise are really hard to get a hold of without pirating them, then you should do so. $40 does seem a little steep because many of these are just clones of each other, but I really like the idea that I could sit down and play Combat, for instance, which is a game that I had in my Atari 2600 many hours. My brothers and I would sit down and fight each other in our little tanks. One of our favorite modes was to make it so that the tanks were invisible and they only showed up when they shot. I always thought that that was really cool. And I would love to be able to play those games like that, like Combat, online against other people. I think that that's really cool. And this is the kind of thing that makes me say that it's actually maybe a good thing that the virtual console is gone, because in the days of the virtual console, I don't know that we would have seen something like this come out. In my opinion, this seems like a good not a good deal, because again, $40 seems a little expensive, but it's definitely something that is on my wish list. Like, I went into the Nintendo Switch eShop and added it to my wish list. So, maybe I'll get some eShop gift cards or something for Christmas and I'll be able to buy it. But, spending money this close to Christmas, probably not the best idea. However, I think it's cool. What do you guys think?